about roughly 15 minutes to get through this.
Okay. Well, let's go by teams. All right. So numbers for the teams during the regular season when they both first won championships. 88-89 Pistons were 56-26. 03-04 Pistons were 54-28. Not a lot of difference there. Where we really start seeing some difference as opposed to similarity, points per game. Your quote-unquote bad boys average 106, roughly 107, 106.6 a game, 49.4% from the field. My going to work Pistons, only 90. 90.1 at 43.5%. Now, those 03-04 Pistons did shoot a better percentage from the three-point line, 34%. Your 88-89 Pistons shot 30% from the three-point. Rebounds were fairly close. 03-04 Pistons, 42.8 per game. 88-89, 40.5. So I'd like to say that we'd edge you out on the glass just slightly. Ben Wallace did average 13 boards a game that season. Your highest rebounder, Bill Laimbeer, only averaged 9.6.
I'm surprised it's that high.
So, I mean, both teams had high guard production, and I feel like I'm gonna make your case for you.
The trap is set.
Yeah, I think that the X factor for me is going to be Rashid and Memo. I don't necessarily think that Laimbeer, Mahorn, nor Sally could guard those guys once they got 20 feet and out.
Okay.
I also feel that, so team percentages, my quote-unquote Pistons shot 43.5% as a whole. Now, I know you say that sounds low. That sounds negligible. That's something that's going to hurt you. Because your quote-unquote Pistons shot 49.4% as a whole. But my Pistons were able to hold people to 41.3% field goal percentage. Your Pistons were only able to hold people to 44.7% field goal percentage. So, while both teams had roughly a 6-point differential in an opponent field goal percentage, I think that my guys would have tried to lock you up better. And Chauncey would have been, while slower than Zeke, he would have been able to body him. He would have been able to. Chauncey was known to get guys in the post and back them in. He would have wore Isaiah out. He'd put pressure on him. I don't think anybody can check Sheed. Particularly, he would have been engaged in a playoff game. He would have been engaged in a championship series and a best of 7 and that sort. The only thing I was really worried about from your squad was assists. They had a lot more of those. Isaiah averaged 8.3 that year.
Yeah.
Only person on our team to even come close was Mr. Big Shot at 5.7.
Let me ask you this. Where do you put Rashid on all-time power forward list?
That's tough.
We have all the talent in the world from Syracuse, Derek Coleman.
Right. Now, are we talking like just with the Pistons?
No, all time
as a whole.
As a whole, we have Tim Duncan as a power forward. Karl Malone is a power forward. Where do you put Rashid?
Off the top of my head, I'd throw him in top 10, like towards the back of, like probably 8 or 9.
Okay.
And I really feel that's just because Rasheed never really asserted himself.
Exactly. Roscoe.
Right. Roscoe. He was very much a
emo.
I gotta show up right now. That's when I'll show up. He's very fickle.
One of the better big men 3-point shooters, though.
Absolutely.
We got about 10 minutes here, man. You actually came with the stats game. I did not get a chance to dig in that because we bumped this episode up by 2 days.
Right.
I will say it's phenomenal that, and the Pistons are kind of like the 1,000 Pistons, the decade of the thousands, is akin to the Buffalo Bills in the NFL that went to 5 in the AFC Championship game.
Eastern Conference champions, right.
They won the division 5 years, which was 3 short of the Lakers, who won it 8 years in a row. They put in some work.
Yeah.
And I really can't argue much with against them. And I loved what they did because it was team basketball again.
Absolutely.
I will say it was phenomenal that in 2004, when they did win the championship, the Lakers had won 3 of the last 4 championships. They had Malone, Payton, Fisher, Bryant, O'Neal.
It was that HOF team,
right? And they took them out 4-1.
Yep.
That was probably the highlight for them. They lost to San Antonio in 2005.
Damn you, Robert Horry.
Right. Big shot, Bob. Miami, with Shaq coming over to help out Flash in 2006. Miami won the championship. They lost to them in the Eastern Conference. Finished with the best record in 2007. Lost 2-4 to the oncoming LeBron James.
Right.
2008, they messed around and had 59 wins that year.
That was Flip Saunders.
With Flip Saunders. I really was leaning towards them because of the nutrition, the working out, the better training, the ball handling, etc., etc. But man, when we look at these bad boys, Dumars came over in 85. Sally Rodman, like I said, in 86. Eastern Conference Finals in 87, they got put out. In 88, they added James Edwards, 54 wins, lost to the Lakers 4-3. They lost games 6 and 7 by a combined 4 points against the Worthy, Magic, and Kareem Lakers. They came back in 1989 and swept the Lakers.
Right. 63
wins. Danley was traded for Aguirre,
which was kind of a big deal.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal. But in 1990, they came back with 59 wins. Mahorn is gone.
Right. They lost Mahorn to the expansion draft.
In the expansion to the Timberwolves. Eastern Conference, they go 4-3 over Michael Jordan's Bulls. They beat Michael Jordan's Bulls 3 years in a row.
Right.
We don't have that over. We don't have a Jordan over here on this 2004 side of the ledger. But hold up. What did I mention? We don't give a lot of credit to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as having the best single offensive weapon in the NBA because it was kind of finesse versus Shaquille's power. But the skyhook was no joke. But they swept the Lakers. 3 finals in a row. And then in 1990, when they did win that second championship, they went to back the repeat. They beat Portland on the road games 3, 4, and 5. Only people to do that. And you know they had Clyde Drexler, they had Terry Porter, the one guy that participated in the dunk contest. I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, but the 3 years they battled with the loaded Celtics teams,
Right.
In '87, when Bird stole the inbounds pass and kicked it off.
Lost it.
Kicked it off as well documented in the 30 for 30, and DJ scored the layup. They had them, and like I said, just beating a worthy Magic and Kareem, Parrish, McHale, Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, the Bagley dude was in there somewhere. And this is another thing. I just feel like the Pistons got the game started off the right way because they went to James Edwards for the first 6-8 possessions of the game. And in your defense, the 2004 Pistons weren't a big time 3-point first shooting team as we have right now.
And I mean, also to my defense, those Pistons shot 34.4% from behind the arc, and those bad boys only shot a flat 30%.
I would think though that the bad boys only shot 5 to 8 3-pointers a game though.
I do not have the attempt numbers,
and I'm just gonna mention this because I mentioned it in another show when I had my previous podcast. The Lakers won a championship with only converting like 5 total 3-pointers for a series. It was one thing I did want to note on here though, and we just passed it. It was about your 2004 Pistons. It was an excellent point for them.
Well, why are you trying to figure it out?
The 37-5 start.
Yeah.
In 2006 was the second best all time.
Well, see, but that's the flip team, and so I tried to focus on the teams that won the championships.
Okay.
Because if we try to compare apples and oranges between the most productive years, it's going to be real hard to do. Because that flip team, they probably, and I don't have these numbers, I'm just kind of rough guesstimating. I assume that those Pistons probably averaged close to or right around 100 points a game, and they got away from some of the defense that they had been noted for going into the Flip Saunders years. The Larry Brown coach teams were very much we're going to grind it out, we're going to slow it down, we're going to score 90, basically first one to 85 wins.
Right.
And when Flip got in there, he was like up tempo, let's run, and they got away from a lot of the fundamentals, which hurt them, I think.
Like I said, I'm just looking at this sweep of the Lakers in 1989 to sweep the Lakers, and to come back and beat the Portland, who has some Hall of Famers with Drexler.
They had
to beat them
team.
3 games in a row on the road. I just think the drama is there, the cinema is there, the theater is there. I feel like the grit is there, just slightly.
So one thing I want to throw in here.
Hold on. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to close this out. We got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to take a quick break. All right. So anybody that's still with us, we're trying to close out this last 5 minutes of this argument. We did end up on different sides of the debate, which is a good thing. And come on, man, give it to me, man. I mean, are you going to tell me that a Chauncey Billups-led team is going to be Isaiah Thomas, who is probably the best since Magic Johnson? He's probably the best point guard to work through his shooting guard and his post players.
Yeah, I mean,
you really gonna sit here and tell me that in a best of 7 series, the 2004 team is gonna accomplish supremacy?
What I'm gonna tell you is, to your point, that Isaiah averaged that season 18 points a game, 8 assists a game, 3 boards, and roughly 2 steals.
He had a 25-point quarter in the finals.
He was balling out of control.